Hey guys, welcome back to On the Throne, IGN's video recap series of Game of Thrones. This week we're going to be talking about the episode Garden of Bones. And make sure to stay tuned to the end of On the Throne for details about how you can enter to win a really cool prize package from the HBO store of official Game of Thrones merchandise. Now, this was a busy episode. I say that every week, but it introduced a new map player, Harrenhal, but it jumps all around. No Jon Snow this week, but let's start off with something that almost led the entire first half of the episode, which is Joffrey being a horrible, horrible monster.
It's really impressive because, Joffrey, just when you think we already despise him as much as we could and he's been as awful as he can be, he's worse.
This is the worst he's been.
Yes.
It just escalates.
Yeah.
And so we get the scene where he's taking out his frustrations about Robb winning out in the battlefield on poor Sansa.
Yeah.
Having her beaten by Sir Meryn in front of everybody. If that's not horrible enough, like ripping her clothes, punching her in the stomach. And then what comes after that is even worse.
Well, first I do want to say with Sansa, though, it's like, I feel at this point, even though people kind of hated her in the first season and what she did, I do hope most people agree that she's already paid enough.
She's more than paid for her sins. I felt that way after last season when she was forced to look at Ned's head on the spike.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all she needed. But now it's just, it's too much.
Yeah.
It was cool. Also, a great hurrah moment for Tyrion stepping in with Bronn.
Yeah.
Saving the day for Sansa, extending almost a hand of friendship. But, she's still refusing to sort of reciprocate that friendship back. Because she's still, even though we know she could probably trust Tyrion, she doesn't know that.
Yeah. And then, as for the other thing Joffrey did, Tyrion's just trying to get his nephew laid. Thinks maybe...
He can't even get laid right.
Maybe this will help him not be such a jerk, but no.
He's even worse. Bronn has the idea. He says he's all stopped up. Get him a hooker. He gets him two.
Yes, he does.
But what does he do? He makes them beat each other.
Yeah, very sadistic, sick scene, and especially because Joffrey's pretty young still. So just the fact that this kid is that messed up.
And I have to say, given this show and the content of this show, I thought something else was going to happen with that Baratheon staff, but I won't say what it is. Now let's get to Dany, who there was some movement in her story after being absent last week. The episode's called Garden of Bones because of the area that surrounds the city called Karth. And I kind of like the fact that one of the 13 merchants who approaches her corrects her pronunciation, because sometimes this has been a fan community dispute of like how to pronounce Karth. It's Quarth or Karth. So they put that on the show. But this could be her salvation. She arrives at this oasis in the middle of the Red Waste.
But we still see just how difficult everything is for her. The fact that people are talking about the dragons, it's like, oh, I'll let you in if I can see the dragons.
She's very hesitant to sort of give that up. That's her only card at this point. That's all she's got, as far as stroke goes. But Xaro steps forward, says he's gonna be responsible for her. The doors open and we see this paradise inside as they go in.
Yeah, and still a pretty desperate situation for her though, but maybe there is now a sliver of hope.
And going from that sliver of hope scenario to almost a hopeless scenario, now Arya is taken to Harrenhal, where the Lannisters have taken this entire disgusting dead rot corpse smelling castle. She's now adopted what she was talking to Yoren about last week when he said that he would say the name of this guy he wanted to kill every night before he went to sleep. So every night before she goes to sleep, she's like, Joffrey, Cersei, the Hound, and now we see the Mountain again.
Yeah.
So, and then just as Gendry is about to be killed, Tywin steps in, calls all of his people idiots, makes them stop killing these people that are essentially free labor.
I like that because we already saw that, Cersei might be cruel herself, but she's smart. She didn't want Ned killed because she realized they could leverage Ned much more. And so here, he's a son of a bitch, this guy, but he's like, hey, we have some slaves if we don't torture and kill them.
That's right. Now, very briefly, at the beginning of the episode, we saw Robb at war, still winning battles with the help, of course, of his direwolf, Grey Wind. A girl catches his eye on the battlefield after his victory. He seems to like her. She's kind of no nonsense. She saws a guy's foot off. So.
Yeah, another cool, new, tough female character this season really is adding a lot of that.
And then also back at King's Landing, in keeping with Tyrion, who we already saw rescue Sansa, he's still doing this power game at King's Landing. He blackmails Lancel, who we saw was sleeping with Cersei at the season finale of season 1. He blackmails him into being a spy for him.
Yeah, he says, I know you're sleeping with my cousin, and so now I'm going to use that information.
Now back to Camp Renly. Littlefinger, who is sent by Tyrion in the last episode, arrives there, talks to Cat with the intent of maybe getting her to give up Jaime Lannister, because he knows Robb Stark won't do it. And as sort of a peace offering, he brings Ned Stark's remains.
Yeah, and we're reminded, how much Cat means to Littlefinger, and he basically tells her
He says
again,
it, yeah.
that I've loved you since they were kids.
And then we've got the meeting of the two Baratheon brothers. We've got Stannis and Renly meeting to treat, I guess, but basically Stannis gives him an ultimatum. He's like, I will destroy you, even though it seems laughable at this point since Renly has the numbers.
Yeah, but again, Stannis has sort of his little card to pull, and that's Melisandre.
That's right. Now, the end of this episode, we've seen dragons, we've seen the White Walkers, we've seen supernatural things occur, but the end of this episode has to be the most, outlandishly magical supernatural thing we've seen so far on the show.
Yeah.
Melisandre giving birth to this shadow creature, essentially, because other things are kind of like animals. And this felt really more like magic.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of freaky stuff happens there, and it's interesting that it happens in the presence of Davos, who we're only getting to know Davos right now, but he seems a pretty salt of the earth kind of guy, and clearly this is shocking, and he can't understand what he's seeing. This woman's suddenly pregnant in front of him, and certainly can't understand what comes out of her, and neither can we at this point.
That's right, and it's interesting that Stannis himself seemed to know what was going to happen. Because we don't really know how he stands on her religion and what she can do. But when he sends Davos off with her, he's like, we'll never speak of this again. So he kind of knows at least what the end game is, at least.
Yeah, and like you said, it's kind of the next level of the show, introducing more supernatural and magical elements.
Now's your chance on the Throne to win some really cool official merchandise from the HBO store. That's store.hbo.com. And this week's prize package is all Daenerys themed. So you can expect a Khaleesi t-shirt, a Mother of Dragons t-shirt, a t-shirt with the names of Daenerys' 3 dragons on them, and a dragon egg paperweight. Now, the way you can enter to win this stuff is to email winordie@ign.com and tell us your favorite part of this episode, Garden of Bones, for a chance to win.
And we want to congratulate Libby Cornell. Libby won our episode 2 prize package from this season, the Greyjoy package.
And join us next week for another episode of On the Throne.